One thing that's true for all moms, we have a lot of stories to tell. Some are silly, some are gross, some bring us to tears. With each story that's shared, another mom feels a little less alone. So join us as we laugh, learn, and grow together. It's the I'm Mom podcast. Welcome to this week's episode of the I'm Mom podcast. Abby, Susan, Megan, and Chloe here. It's the start of a brand new year, and so we figured we would welcome a brand new baby to the podcast. And James is actually you're
in the room. He's in the room.
I hope people could hear that. Yes. He's here with us. And we just kind of wanted to hear from Chloe what these first few months of motherhood have been like, and all the things. So we're going to hopefully take a trip down memory lane. That's the cheesiest thing I've ever said. But like for Megan, Susan, and me, and then get to find out from Chloe, like how things are going. So I guess starting at the beginning, was like delivery what you expected?
Yeah. Gosh, honestly, I had a really great delivery. It was really, that was something I really specifically prayed for throughout my pregnancy, was that, God would just be there and that it would be like a really beautiful experience. And it was everything and more.
Mm-hmm. Now, Chloe and I kind of talked before this, and you did say one thing to me, that you were hesitant to say that it went smoothly and that you thought it was like easier, or not easier, but like that it went so well. Why did you feel that way?
Yeah. I think because I have friends who didn't have a great experience. And I felt like when I was talking about it, I was almost like bragging in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Felt unfair. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, but I mean, it happens the way it happens for everybody, you know? I mean, everybody has a different story. Megan had a very different story, and it has nothing to do with Megan's ability or whatever, but, does it?
Does it?
Maybe my doctor's ability, but
yeah. I mean, gosh, yeah, that's a factor. That's a factor for sure.
You also said that people were saying to you, motherhood is the hardest thing you'll ever do. And how do you feel about that now?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I really was so frustrated by those comments because I just didn't want that to be the reality. And it is so hard. I just didn't want it to be true because it's harder than like anything I could have ever, like I could have never imagined how difficult it was going to be. But like, I still, even when I got those comments, it was never going to prepare me for how difficult it was. They weren't saving me any.
Well, and everybody's difficulty is different. Again, just like their delivery, everything, everybody struggles with something.
Well, because I think that the things people were like, oh, you're going to like not like this, I haven't necessarily run into. I run into other stuff, you know?
Yeah. Well, and motherhood is it's not like you're in a season, it's your life now. And so to say this is really hard, it's kind of not the right attitude to go into this role with. Right. Like, sure, there are going to be hard moments, but the role that you're taking on is not necessarily a hard role. It's a blessing, and there's joy. And I think that too many people they kind of scare you, and instead of celebrating the joy.
Yeah. Because I was like, okay, well, am I just going to dread it? I felt like I received a lot of like negativity when I get comments like that.
Yeah. So now, like your next friend that tells you she's pregnant, what are you going to say to her?
Congratulations. No, I'm going to say, like, I think my favorite thing people said to me was, you're going to be a great mom. Mm-hmm. Because it's amazing the little things that happen that make me feel like I'm not a great mom. Like that's kind of crazy how like quickly your confidence can just plummet. So that's something I'm going to just tell people is, you're going to be great at this.
Yeah. I know that like becoming a mom for me, it made me change the way I feel about myself.
Yeah.
The way that like my kids looked at me, and even as an infant, it just made me feel really different. How have you experienced that?
Oh gosh. Well, there's the unconditional love. I feel like that's kind of crazy how like he can just be like wailing his head off, and like if I just pick him up, sometimes he'll just like stop crying, and that's crazy. I don't know. Honestly, I still feel like, because I'm 8 weeks postpartum, I still feel like I'm kind of like coming up for air in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. Like I'm just kind of able to reflect on a lot of things.
Yeah.
So
Megan, do you have any, like, what are your thoughts on that one?
Now that I've had two and I'm further past the newborn stage, I mean, one is 1.5. It is such a phase. The changes of being pregnant and then like a year post being pregnant, whatever, I had a really tough time with that. Even to this day, I'll say like the newborn phase is not my favorite phase.
Mhm.
Because for me, it was just like a really big transition. And I kind of feel like I'm such an extrovert. I kind of feel a little bit like I'm locked down, like
Yeah.
I can't do anything. But I love the phase that we're in now with a 4-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. They're so fun and they're so funny to watch together. And it's a different phase of parenting. I'm having to work more on actually parenting the 4-year-old because he's doing things he shouldn't be doing and he has to understand the consequences, and but I still have a baby at the same time, so it's kind of interesting, but it's just really fun. It is, I mean, it will forever, I think, have its challenges, but I was talking with some friends about it the other day. We just love being parents. It's so fun and so funny, and just they take on these little personalities that I never could have envisioned because they're so different than my husband or I.
Yeah.
So.
I remember thinking I was nursing one of them like late at night, and I think like I probably needed a shower. My hair was probably gross. They'd probably spit up on me or something. And I just remember thinking to him, like, I am perfect. Like, I smell good. I sound good. All of the things that I am is what he loves right now. And that was like just really kind of like a shock. Like it kind of rocked me a little bit, just because it's that feeling of being exactly what you're supposed to be because God made you a mom and to that particular child, which what just happened there?
It just pooped so loud.
Oh, sweet. Smelling good.
Yes.
So we posted on Facebook, what lessons did you learn in the first 3 months of parenting? And we got some really interesting answers. And so I wanted to share with you, Chloe, and Megan and Susan, you guys give your feedback too, on what some people said. And you tell me what you think about those. Okay. So Ashley's actually in our office, but she's also on Facebook. She said she was lonely in the first 6 months. It blindsided me how I went from working full time and always being around people to not being around anyone. What do you think about that?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I feel like I just started getting out of the house again like 2 weeks ago, and that's been a huge help because I didn't realize how lonely I was. But my husband and I do go, kind of like what you were saying, Megan.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because with your second, you don't really have the option to not go out of the house because you're like, you have other stuff to do with the first. So you're kind of like, okay, well, second's coming with us because we can't leave him at home.
Yeah.
It's weird how you can be with someone all day, but still feel really lonely.
Well, yeah, because I talk to him all the time. He doesn't talk back to me.
And they sleep so much.
I know. I told one of my friends, I was like, gosh, I waited for him so long to be here, and now I'm just constantly trying to get him to go to sleep. Like, don't you want to hang out with me? Like,
you told me that you asked Trent to stay awake one time, and he fell asleep. And like,
World War III. I was so angry at him, you guys. We got into a huge fight. I was like, stay awake. I'm lonely.
oh.
But
Yeah.
it's okay. He learned.
So Julie Leitz Walsh on Facebook said, good sleep is overrated, speaking of staying awake. I think that, in our conversation, Chloe, we kind of talked about idolizing sleep and how a lot of new moms, that advice is always sleep when the baby sleeps, sleep when the baby sleeps. And so you're like, I have to sleep. Or you just think about sleep nonstop. You think about them sleeping enough nonstop. Or should they cry it out? Should they, soothe? All the stuff. Like sleep becomes this idol that we worship.
I mean, you think of all these books and these sleep coaches.
Exactly.
And they are, taking care of babies, moms on call. like $1 million businesses that are only focused on sleeping for the most part.
Well, we have sleep apps now. I'm talking not even about pregnancy or new moms. It's kind of like an obsession we have.
Whoops, a Whoop. Do you?
For max performance, you have to sleep.
Like we have friends that have these Whoop bracelets and they track your sleep, but not only does it track your sleep, it like breaks down like, how much actual restful sleep did you get in REM.
I don't want to know.
How has it been going in that way?
With sleep?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we talked about this like candidly. I'm really working on not idolizing sleep because he's an okay sleeper. Like I think he's normal. But like the other night, he only woke up once. He slept from 7 to 6 and only woke up once. And you'll be amazed how quickly I was like, do it again. Like, so like, but like last night he was up every 2 hours or less. So it's here and there. And I just have to kind of like get through it because I am amazed at how God constantly gives me what I need. I need energy. I need endurance. I need, rest. God is always giving it to me. So I just have to trust like he's going to give me, rest and he'll give me sleep when I need it.
Yeah. in like 8 years. That's what it goes. 8 years.
Yes.
Misty Tomlinson said that she, in the first 3 months of having a baby, said it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah. Okay, we talked about this. He's just pooping. I'd love y'all's take on this because I think that for me was one of the hardest things for me was everyone was like, ask for help. And I don't know what I need. So like when Trent's like, how can I help? I'm like, well, I'd like a nap. I'd like to go on a run. I'd like to hang out with one of my friends. I'd like another cup of coffee. Like I'd like to know why he's doing this weird thing that I've Googled and I have 7 different answers for. You know, so it's like I feel like I have more needs than ever. And I'm not used to being so needy.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard to ask for help when a lot of times the person, when you need it, the help isn't there. And then when they are there, it's someone that's come over to visit or whatever. And you're like, well, I kind of am enjoying having someone to talk to. And so I don't want to necessarily put you to work.
Right.
It's like it has to be that mom that's there all the time, you know, or the friend that is over a lot. I think that
I noticed a change. Like when I first had Megan, family members or whatever would come over and they'd want to hold the baby.
Yeah.
And then I'd end up doing the dishes. Then I didn't want that. I wanted to hold the baby. Can you do the dishes?
Yeah.
But then later when the baby got older, it was like, yeah, hold this baby. I'm going to go do something.
Yeah.
So it did kind of switch.
Yeah. That's funny.
Julie and Sandra on Facebook both said that they both talked about their moms. One of them said that she learned to go to her mom for advice, and the other one said that she learned to appreciate her mother. How has this changed your relationship with your mom? And Megan, how about for you?
I realized how much of a help my mom is, no offense, Hampton, but more than my husband. Like, I think because guys haven't really physically had a baby, like, yes, they're a huge help, but they don't really know.
Yeah.
And I think she could just sense things that knew needed to be done or knew I needed help with that I couldn't even, like, you know, like you said, I couldn't even articulate. And so that was really helpful. And it's just having another mom there, someone else that can figure those things out. And there's nothing like having your mom there either. Like with James, I had a really bad delivery, and there was one point where I was like, I don't even care if Hampton is in here as long as my mom is in here, because I think she like, I'm her child. So I think you can sense things about your child that other people can't. Yeah. And so she's just a huge help, and both my kids absolutely adore her. So they'd rather be with her than be with me. So it's a big help when like someone can just take your kids and you not even worry about them 1 second because you know that they're really well taken care of. So it's just it was a huge help to me to have. And I feel bad because we live in DC, they live in Tampa, and she would come up for like a month to stay with us and help. And she was probably like, I'm ready to go home and get out of here. But it's a long time to like leave your house and your responsibilities to go help with.
But I think the reason it's easier for me than even like Trent, he's a new dad, is you've done it.
Yeah.
So you can anticipate what has to happen next. Because I think that's the biggest trick in the change of motherhood. You go from taking care of things as they come to anticipating and having to stay ahead of things. Yeah. Like, oh, what time is it? Got to make that bottle because they're going to come up and then they're going to wake up and they're going to be screaming and they're going to get hungry. So I better get the laundry out before they get up because then I'm going to have to hold them. And you're constantly anticipating what comes next. Yeah, he's looking at me. Yes. So that's why it is easier until a husband has more experience.
Yeah, and I think he eventually, the dad eventually like is like, okay, now I got this. But in those first 3 months, I think it's really new to a man.
Right.
One of my friends said the other day that it's like when we become moms, we learn how to be a parent and then we have to teach our husband how to be a parent in a way. Mm-hmm. And I think that is like, because, you know, I'm with him all day. Trent works right now. I'm on maternity leave. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I don't know, Trent is as involved as he can possibly be right now. And he's just learning at a slower pace because he's not around as much.
And I will say, some of it is how we're wired. It was so interesting. Mm-hmm. Mark and I had Megan's kids for 3 or 4 days while they were just gone. And it's funny to me because James is 4 and all of a sudden Mark is kicking in more. Like, he's like, I'm going to take James with me to the store. Yes. And then, of course, they went and got ice cream and whatever. Whereas when we used to babysit when James was really little, it's a baby thing here. So it's more on me. I think dads, or at least my husband, definitely turned it up a notch when they started being able to go and do.
One thing I was going to say was with us too, I think mentally, because she had 3 kids, understood what I was going through mentally, which I think it's a lot harder to articulate to a man, like the hormone changes and the mental chaos that is like going through your brain the first few weeks after having a baby, on top of not sleeping, which kind of clouds your judgment too. So like, I feel like she could tell when I was just like, I can't function right now.
All right, the next comment is from Kathy Minett, and she said, take other people's suggestions with a grain of salt. Have you been hit with a lot of advice, unsolicited advice?
Yes. I have been the most shocked by people who have given me advice who do not have kids.
Really?
Yes. I'm like, gosh, I don't know. It's just interesting. I'm like,
wow.
Okay.
I feel like, do you guys have like your one bit of advice that you share with a new mom? Because like you really want to pick like the thing that really matters to you and that you think is important.
I'm trying to think. I try not to do it at all because I know how annoying it can be.
Yeah.
I try to, the only thing I say is like, you know, if they're having a tough time about something, I'll be like, I totally remember that. But one little thing to keep in the back of your mind is it's just a phase.
Yeah.
And it will like come to an end and then you'll be done with it until you have your next kid. But I'm like, I know this is really hard to hear, but I'll be like, just try to enjoy it because it does go by really fast, which is not always what people want to hear, which is probably also annoying. But because that is one thing that I feel like it just does go by so fast, and then you're like so sad that it's over. So I'm like, if you're not sleeping, like it is a phase. I know it's really rough, but like it'll be over soon.
Yeah, it'll pass. Let's see. Sarah Rocchio said, be honest with your partner. So I want to know like how having a baby has changed your marriage.
It's changed it for sure, but it's good. Like I feel Trent and I can both be kind of passive aggressive people. Like I think we're both like the youngest in the family, and I think we both just kind of want everyone to get along. So I think sometimes we'll both have things we want to say, but we'll dance around the topic. It's like we don't have time to do that anymore. So like we're just a little bit more bottom line. And I think it's good for our communication.
Yeah. You shared with me that you got advice from friends about checking in. Do you remember what you said?
Yeah, this was a really great piece of advice. My friends told me every 2 to 3 weeks, have another check-in. How are you doing emotionally, mentally, physically with your partner? Because it changes so much. And I'm really glad because a lot of the like hormonal stuff didn't actually hit me until like 2 weeks ago. So I just started getting like these waves of like physical nausea that are like hormonal, like even my anxiety and all that like didn't really come until like 2 weeks ago. So it's been good for us to just, you know, every couple weeks be like, okay, how's the work? Like, how's the load going with like responsibilities and all that? Because, you know, he's changing like every 3 or 4 days. It's like a different baby.
Trent is, or
the baby.
My favorite comment from all the moms that chimed in on Facebook came from Katie Dorn-Knudsen, and she said, I don't remember the first 3 months. I think I blacked out.
Yeah.
So maybe there's that coming.
That was me after my second.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's awesome. So I just want to kind of close by welcoming you to the Motherhood Club.
Thank
Do you feel like you have your card now and you're official?
Yeah, I do. I really do look at him and I'm like, I cannot believe they let me have you. Like, you're so cute.
Isn't
and
that weird when they like say you're released to go and you're like,
oh my
released
gosh.
to go where?
Or when we took him to the pediatrician for the first time and they were like, James, and we were like, oh, that's us. Like, that's our child.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so that was
real.
crazy. Yeah.
How has it changed, like, how you see just your relationship with other women and things like that?
Gosh, I am so proud to be a woman. Like, I really am. I'm like, I feel like, oh my gosh,
Man.
like, I feel like literally, because I'm just like, gosh, this is really like, it's just the most incredible thing in the world.
I told you.
You did. And it was like, seriously, labor and delivery was one of the most incredible, if not
Did
the
you
most.
cry? Because I bawled.
I didn't cry. I was like overwhelmed. And then around like 4 weeks, I just like sobbed. Like it all just kind of hit me, you know, because it was an adrenaline thing. It was like a workout, you know.
I can't help but think about like the Barbie movie and how, you know, you watch it and you're like, I love being a woman. And you know, it just really is so empowering for women and female friends and all that stuff. But like, this is a little bit different. You know, you're proud to be a woman, but it's also like, gosh, I'm proud to be part of this group of women who
Yeah.
have brought life into the world. And yeah.
Well, it goes beyond pride to me.
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
crowd.
Yes.
To me, it's like you're part of this secret thing
Yeah.
that God does in your body, and don't know how it happened, and it's just crazy to me.
So when I was pregnant, people like women would kind of look at me in the store and be like, hi, like
It's
kind
the
of smile.
secret. You're in the club.
Yes. Well, and I was like, do I know you? Like, you're looking at me like I know you. But it was this like, I know you. Like, we don't know each other, but I know you. And now I look at pregnant women, I'm like, hi. Like, my friend.
The secret club.
You'll get it eventually.
Yeah.
All right. We'll have more opportunities for you to engage with us on Facebook and Instagram. We would love to share your comments on future episodes. So make sure you look in the show notes for links to those accounts if you don't already follow us. And you can even reach out and say congrats to Chloe. I want you to share a picture of the baby.
He looks
yeah.
just like her. It's
Yeah.
a male version of
Well,
Chloe.
we'll share a picture.
Yeah.
Baby picture side by side.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, with your baby picture.
Yeah.
The one you showed us.
Yes,
So crazy.
All right. We'll do that. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to the iMom podcast. iMom is the motherhood program of the nonprofit organization Family First. Along with our fatherhood program, All Pro Dad, we exist to help you love your family well. Subscribe to our daily email, the iMom Minute, by going to imom.com/subscribe and get tons of great ideas, insight, and inspiration. The iMom podcast is hosted by me, Abby Watts, along with Susan Merrill, Megan Tigner, and Chloe Blumenthal.